That's not going to work.
And how would you know that?
Because the center of mass is slightly more to the right. This is something I'm actually quite good at, trust me. Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett. If you've never listened to the show before, welcome. Be sure to subscribe while you're here. If this is your third time listening, the habit is starting to form, and that's a good thing. In addition to providing entertaining and informative photography-related information, I also go on adventures with the crew of the Starship Fibonacci. Right now, Fib and I are trying to figure out a complex balancing issue to get the ship's energy core to stabilize. Speaking of balance, in this episode, I'm talking with portrait photographer Arica Lipp about balancing your creativity with your entrepreneurship when running a photo business. That conversation after the break. And there we go.
It worked.
Oh, ye of little faith. Do you have your own website? Are you tired of dealing with slow loading pages and poor support from your current web hosting company? Consider switching to SiteGround, the top rated web hosting company that provides 24/7 support and super fast hosting speeds. SiteGround's platform is built on the premium Google Cloud infrastructure, ensuring top reliability, security, and speed for your website. Their fast network and storage provide optimal site speed and a high level of redundancy, so you can trust that your website will be up and running smoothly at all times. With SiteGround's ultra-fast server setup, your pages will load 30% faster on average, giving your visitors a better user experience and improving your website's SEO. And with hosting starting from just $199 per month, it's affordable for any budget. Plus, if you're not completely satisfied, SiteGround offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't suffer with a terrible web hosting company any longer. Make the switch to SiteGround and experience top-level support, super fast hosting, and a reliable, secure platform for your website. I spent years with a web hosting company that was absolutely terrible. My site was constantly getting hacked, and support was nearly impossible to get a hold of. Since switching to SiteGround, all of those problems are in the past. Just visit nerdyphotographer.com/recommends/SiteGround or click the link in the episode notes to get started and begin enjoying faster, more reliable web hosting today. Hey photographers, tired of spending hours culling, editing, and publishing your photos? Narrative does it all for you faster and smarter. With AI photo culling, you can quickly sort through thousands of images to find the best shots. With AI editing, you can customize edits to match your personal style effortlessly. And with publishing made simple, you can share stunning blogs with ease. Save time, stay creative, and let narrative handle the heavy lifting. When you use the link in the episode notes to try narrative, you get 10% off and an additional 200 credits for edits. What are you waiting for? Try narrative today. Visit the link in the episode notes and get started for free. Hello and welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett. Joining me today, Arica Lipp. Arica, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're going to start off with the dice breaker, and it's a 12. Best photography or business advice you've ever received?
That I've ever received. The best advice I've ever received is to definitely value your craft, time, and talent.
That's excellent advice, because I think that a lot of people forget to think about you fall into a trap sometimes, I think, of not valuing your time and what you bring to the people. And there's a lot of conversation in the industry about, like, oh, you got to educate the your clients as to your value and all these other things. But there's still at the same time a lot of people going like, I spent this much on equipment, and this is why I charge this much. And like, your clients don't care about that stuff. You have to understand your value to them and to yourself. So for those who are unfamiliar with you, what is the synopsis of your photography journey?
Well, it's a little bit of a winding road, crisscrossing, zigzagging. I have always been an artist in fine arts, so drawing, painting, and sculpting, and also a dancer. And my life has ebbed and flowed back and forth Then I became a mom, and it was too difficult for me to create art and give my kids the time and attention that they needed. So I put that on the shelf for a while, focused on my dance career. So I taught ballroom dancing professionally for 20 years. I loved it.
What forms of ballroom did you teach? Just curious.
All of them.
Okay, awesome.
So ballroom, Latin, country, Western, swing, all of the dances. So for over 20 years, that was my career. And then I picked up a camera because my husband was, for lack of a better word, too cheap to hire someone to take our family photos, and photos mean a great deal to me. So I said, well, will you at least take that same amount of money, buy me a camera, and let me do it myself? Because as an artist, I'm thinking in my head, how hard can it be? Well, we found out real fast how hard it is. But I looked through that camera, and the artist in me that used to be fascinated with people's faces and drawing portraits was awoken. And I'm like, wow, I've been asleep for way too long. I miss this feeling of being that artist and capturing people. And this is a medium that I could use while being a mom. It's mom friendly and family friendly. And so I said, by golly, I'm going to be so good at this. And I was determined. So I am self-taught. However, I invested in education. I'm in Montana, so there's not a lot here. So I had to be very self-disciplined to work hard and listen to what people were telling me, what other educators were teaching me via their online education, attending conferences. And it was a very quick journey, it seems like, in some aspects. But here I am, excited and inspired.
Well, I think you probably had, as you mentioned, your artistic background. You had a basis,
yes,
for visualizing your own style, whatever you
mm-hmm.
want to call it. Like that a lot of people, I think, at the beginning of their photography journey don't have. Like they haven't necessarily already had that experience in their life, so that could lend itself to the quickness of the journey, or the beginning of the journey. Yeah, and this is probably a topic for a whole other episode. The whole thing of like learning on your own, and not necessarily like being self-taught is there's nothing wrong with being self-taught. I took 2 formal photography classes in college as part of my journalism major, and then I didn't take another photography class or go to a conference until this, because this was before YouTube existed and before online learning really existed. I read a ton of books, and that was my basis for a lot of my early photography career, was just reading books. And then when like constantly learning, you always have to be like willing to learn. So how do you balance the creative side of being a photographer with running a business? I think this is something that a lot of photographers have trouble with, and a lot of creatives in general have trouble with, because we're not business minded people necessarily. We tend to be like, oh, I'm all about creating the thing, and not necessarily about promoting it or doing the books and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, you can lose yourself in the business side, in the sense that you can be so focused on the money aspect, right? That you're just trying to get that next booking, that next client, and you're kind of, I don't know, in that mode of hustle. And so I think that it's really important to remember that just because you are a paid photographer, a professional photographer, doesn't mean you're not an artist. It just means that you have to continue to feed that soul, the creativity, give it opportunities, give it room to breathe, give it room to, simmer. And the way that I do that are a couple of things, the strategies that I use, because I actually do really love the business side of it. I don't find that to be a burden like many do. I actually get excited. I like getting paid. I really do. I like money. Who doesn't like money? What you want to do, though, for my advice, is you want to provide and schedule opportunities for that growth. So I will create art by competition. Like if I know that the Icon Awards is coming up and I have that deadline, I go, okay, what do I want to create this year? What's been my goal? And I will sit down and I have a sketchbook and I'll actually sketch out a vision in my head of what I want to create. So I draw it first. And then I ask myself, what do I want to say with this? What's the message? It can come from so many different things. It could be just creating something that just looks freaking cool. It doesn't have to be super deep and intellectual. And it may be that there is a message that I want to convey, and how do I visually speak to others through imagery. So competing for me and being able to take the criticism and feedback has been crucial for my growth and challenging myself, because someone's going to come back and say, hey, you created this thing and I may not like it. They may not like it.
Yeah.
And others are going to think it's brilliant. And another thing that I've done is that I've had the opportunity. I won the ProPrints competition this year. And
congratulations.
the Dream Backdrops, they gifted me a year's worth of free backdrops. So I'm like, whoa, here's an opportunity. So what I'm doing now is once a month on a Friday, I do what I call Fine Art Fridays. So I'm going to use one of their fine art backdrops and create something fun with no purpose other than to create and have a good time. Based on the backdrop that they give me, I get to challenge myself and say, okay, here's the backdrop. What am I going to make with this? And how much fun can I have? How elaborate do I want to go? Do I want to make it simple? And that way I'm holding myself accountable for at least once a month having a creative project.
I think that is a common thread that I find among photographers when we talk about like staying creative and keeping the creative fire, burning, is having a personal project and like you said, holding yourself accountable for doing something creative and saying, okay, I'm going to take X amount of time. And one thing I tell people is, like you were talking about sketching out ideas. One thing I say to people is to like set apart time every week. Maybe it's a couple times a week, 15, 30 minutes, whatever, where you turn off all of the stuff. You turn off the phone, get away from the computer, whatever, actually take a pencil or pen or whatever. Because if you're on a computer or a laptop or, a tablet or your phone trying to type it in, you can get distracted by a million different things. Write it down, write down ideas, like sit there and just think creatively on a topic for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And it's hard at the beginning because you're so used to just like, especially the way the world is today with, attention spans getting shorter and shorter and shorter and everything is just flashing by you. But the more you do that and the more you give yourself that time, the more creative you'll be. And it's actually like, wow, you're like flexing that creative thought process in your head. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
I think that, doing those sorts of things and having those personal projects listen, I think that, we'd all, like you're saying, you enjoy the business part of it. There are some parts of the business aspect of it that I do really enjoy. There are other parts of the business aspect that I don't enjoy. But like you can get more out of like, and still feel fulfilled artistically if you give yourself those outlets and give yourself the time to say like, okay, I'm giving myself the time to be creative today, whether it's like, whenever you're having your coffee in the morning or something. I'm like, I'm not going to, doom scroll on my phone. I'm going to like put everything else away and just like write down ideas.
Yeah. And, remember to hang on to the ideas. Because I've had so many clients that come to me for one thing, and then I go, they might be a good fit for this project I wanted to do. And then I pitch it to them, and then I get paid to do it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Keep it. Like I said, write it down. Like notebooks. I've got notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of ideas for stuff that I'm an Aries and I'm very like idea oriented. Sometimes following through is not on things is not always my best, strongest suit. But like I've got all these ideas and like, going back through them and be like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. Yeah. Like you said, oh, there's a client who wants to do something similar. Let's talk about that. I've already kind of game planned this a little bit.
Yeah. And don't wait for them to ask you, like, because they may not even know that they want what you have to offer. So, like, there is an intuition involved here. You do have this little spidey sense that says, hey, what if? And that is the most important voice to always listen to, the what if voice. Like, what if we could do this? Let those what ifs come out. Don't stop them. Don't argue with them. Don't tell them that no one, it's crazy and no one's going to want that. That's a lie, because that's your genius. And the worst mistake photographers make is trying to just do what they think other people want them to do and ignoring their genius.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, it's such a pitfall that that can derail you. Is just thinking, oh, this is what people want. Like, and there's one of the like I think I've brought it up a bunch of times on this show, but like one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received as far as wedding photography, and I think it applies to any type of genre of photography. For them, well, some of them might not. Um, were there where I was told that, oh, you don't like taking that type of picture? Stop taking that kind of picture. Stop advertising it. Stop. You might keep taking it, but like, stop putting it out there on your social media. Stop, like putting it on your portfolio. Like if you don't like taking the group portraits, like that, where everything looks like everybody, people are just lined up in a line, whatever, stop showing those. Like show, like do more creative stuff, do more creative portraits or more emotional portraits, whatever, and do that sort of thing and show that off. And you'll find that you start getting less and less people who are interested in the thing you didn't like to do because you're not showing it off. Or you start showing those people that there's something else that they can have. And then they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I like that sort of like that part of it. We can adjust it to how I like what the type of photos that I'm looking for. Like, yeah, you don't wait for people to ask you to do the creative thing that you want to do.
Because they're not creative and it probably won't happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing that I mean, it comes up a lot, like that your clients don't know necessarily even have like the technical terminology that photographers do. They're not sitting there looking at photos going, "Oh, well, they chose a really great f-stop here. That was a really good choice of aperture." They're looking at it and they have some sort of emotional connection to the image, and they're like, "Yeah, I can see myself in that photo."
It's interesting that you brought up that, this is a big topic here to tackle, but how many times are we creating the situations that we hate?
Mhm.
Now, I feel like I there's photographers that will call me and say, Erica, this happened. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to own the fact that you agreed to shoot this wedding before you got fully paid.
Yeah.
So whose fault is it? Like, not to be mean, because I've made those mistakes, but I learned that piece by piece, mistake after mistake, I really have to take accountability that I'm the one that really let that happen, not the client.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's I've definitely made mistakes where there's, I've, at first I'm like, oh man. And then I'm like, oh, I saw the red flag coming. I
Yeah.
saw that there was going to be an issue here and I ignored it. I made the choice. And I think that it is we set ourselves up a lot of times for doing things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing. I think that like when it comes to the business side, man, when I got a CRM, my
Mm.
life changed. Like I don't know what I was doing for all those years before. Like, and I think it was I had like databases that I had set up in, Microsoft database or whatever. And it was just like, oh, why am I spending all this time, on the busy work? That's the thing that I don't like doing. I don't like, oh, I got to type all this in. And now I've got a system that, automatically incorporates all of these things into, and I don't have to do all of that, the bookkeeping stuff that I don't like to do. And yeah, like those parts that frees me up to be more creative with both sides, with the business side of it and with the taking the photos part. I have more time on my hands to do those things when you automate or like find ways to work smarter instead of harder.
Hmm. And more fulfilled.
Yeah, I think that like a lot of photographers could learn from like, okay, what slows you down? What are the things that slow you down? And is it a matter of getting a software that can help you with that? Delegating it if you have other people on your team? Like what are the things you can do to remove those roadblocks?
Yeah. And a big one, like retouching. Okay. I actually really enjoy retouching. It's part of my craft, it's part of my art.
Yeah.
However, I can totally outsource the stuff that's not my competitive work, to someone else because it does take up like so much of my time. And, so I think that, whenever there's like just listening to what your brain is trying to tell you, your emotions are trying to tell you when something doesn't feel good and comfortable, listen to it and follow it. Now, how would it be if every day we woke up and we were just freaking happy and it stayed the whole day long and you went to bed at night, slept real well, feeling good about who you are, what you do, and where your life's going, and you wake up the next day and you're just as equally in a good mood? Like, that's actually possible, right? But we get in our own way so many times. Like, that can go back to some real deep, childhood trauma. Like, I don't deserve to be that happy. It's not possible. No one's ever gonna this, there's so many personal baggage that gets in our way. And I think mental health and photography, there's things to really, I know so many photographers that are the most beautiful, artistic, talented people I know, and they really struggle with mental health. Um, and I wish there were more resources specifically for artists and photographers, for tackling those kinds of things. Because on one hand, we would create and make these wonderful things, and on the other hand, we would destroy them, belittle them, devalue them. And so those are in conflict, and we need to
Yeah.
find alignment and fix it.
I think that if it's something that comes up on this show a lot is mental health. I have anxiety, depression, for many years, undiagnosed. And thinking back to like, man, as a teenager, I had like serious anxiety and depression, and it was all like I always associated perfectionism. Like it
Mm.
has to be perfect. Well, you know what? It's never going to be perfect. And that was the thing that I like when I finally getting help and with those issues and like realizing that I was harming myself in a lot of ways and harming my business by I'm not going to release this because it's not good enough yet. It's not perfect. And then just I would sit on things for months and then just think, oh, it's terrible. It's not right. And that sort of feeling is like there should be more resources, and it's something that like I said comes up a lot on the show, like because there are so many people that creative folks who have are dealing with something, we're in such a subjective in a lot of ways business that where you have all these outside people going like, oh, I don't like that, whatever, and you really have to find your community. And that took me years to do, finding, people who were like, hey, they will tell you if this is not your best work, but they're
Mm.
also like saying like, hey, good job for like just doing this thing. Like you're doing this thing and it's great. Like the fact that you're just doing it is wonderful and really happy for you.
Yeah.
That is the sort of like support that I think we can all strive to have more of in our lives and can really help. But yeah, I think there should be more resources for creatives as far as mental health go. It's a huge thing. What do you think? Okay, so this is another question for you here.
Yeah.
What do you think some of the biggest challenges you faced when you started an art related business? Because you talked about being an artist before and you had this background, but then you like come into photography and you're creating a business that is based on your creativity.
Yeah. Well, and this is going to speak to those who can relate to feeling very alone in this journey. I did not have the support of my spouse. I didn't have support of friends or family. I was alone in this, and I was taking a big risk and spending a lot of time on something that I just believed was what I was meant to do. And it was by, number one, keeping that faith that I can't explain it to others, that I couldn't put it into words to my husband and convince him that what I was doing is what I was meant to do. I just knew it, and I couldn't deny it, and I had to listen to it. And so regardless of what other people around me were trying to say contrary, I was determined to do this. And I found the help that I needed the more that I would just take the actions. I started with YouTube, YouTube University.
Yeah.
And, I learned Photoshop by watching Aaron Nace, videos, the Learn, right?
Yep.
And, as you keep wanting more, because I kept being dissatisfied with my work. How come it doesn't quite look like this? How come it doesn't look so good? Like it's in my head. I want it to look this way, but then I take the picture and it doesn't look like I want. And so what I do, I research it, I learn more, and then I practice some more, and then you learn some more. Now, as a business side, trying to make money, that I was motivated to make money because I wanted to feel validated to my spouse that I wasn't wasting our time and resources to pursue this. And that was, kind of, I'm sad that was the motivating factor, was to show some I'm going to prove to you that I have value. I'm going to prove to you that this is worth something. And the way that most people translate value and worth is how much money you can earn. But in money, I did earn it, but it took time, and it took me honing my craft to be able to produce very good quality work. And then it took time building relationships with people and clients so that they know, like, and trust me. They know that they'll come to me time and time again. And then there's going to be people who, as you get more successful, start to hate you.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had photographers in my community just hate me for no reason at all. Like, it was the most bizarre experience and heartbreaking. Tears. I mean, I'm telling you, a lot of emotion, a lot of questioning. Why would you treat me this? I've been nothing but nice to you. But some people are not ready. Some people are not ready to hear that you should treat your photography business like a professional business,
right?
Because they're not doing it. And that's a them problem. That's not a you problem.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who are like, well, I'm not as successful as so-and-so, and I think I'm a better photographer than they are. Mm-hmm. And this is, again, another recurring topic on the show is, some of the most successful people are not necessarily the most artistic or, whatever. Like I talk about, like, my corporate work that I do it's not artistic, but it pays very well. It is very well paying work. And, it is, frankly, like there's a formula to a lot of it. And it is like, if I'm doing headshots for 40 people in the same day, I'm not spending an hour on each session going like, well, maybe I need a little bit more shadow over here, and let's do this and this over here. Like, no, that just doesn't, like, you don't have time for it. And it is in some ways like an assembly line, but it pays really well. And there are those people out there who are like, oh, well, like, I don't, like, this person isn't as good a photographer as me because but I don't know why they're successful. Well, probably because they know how to market, like, how they know how to, like, maybe they're really good at the client relationships. Maybe they're, just really, maybe the experience for their clients is really great. And that's what, the clients are like. You have to think about all of those things if you're running a business, and you can't, whatever. Like I said, the work itself is subjective, there's a lot you can see. And like when I realized as a wedding photographer was to start asking my clients what they liked about the experience and see the patterns that formed. And those were the things that I'm naturally good at. Okay, those are the things I need to start talking about in my marketing. And then I keep attracting more people who want those things. And while I wasn't getting as many inquiries, the quality of the inquiries was 1,000% better because I was attracting folks who really wanted what I have to offer. So yeah, like if you know how to like in managing those relationships with clients, that's I think one of the things very quickly that I think that younger photographers right now, and and I think always like people who are starting out in photography, um, don't necessarily get is that it does take time. They kind of want to jump to a certain level and be like, I want to be making money right now. Or like when it comes to the business side of it or like the artistic side of it, I just like give me the settings and then I'm good. I can make that exact same photo as long as I know the settings and you're a gatekeeper if you don't tell me what the settings are.
Nope, that is not going to work.
Yeah, and it's like you need, like you said, like getting the clients and maintaining relationships and building things. It takes time.
Yeah, and you have to care. You can't fake it. You cannot fake when you don't care about your client. If you don't care about doing a good job, if you don't care about what they care about, you cannot fake that, in my opinion, and do well. And I think that, what was really fun was reading the business side books that weren't written for photographers. They
Yeah,
were written for people who want to be hugely successful in any industry. I became addicted to those books, and I have an Audible library that's ridiculous. And those books were the most incredible things. Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Um, Get Rich Lucky Bee
yeah.
by Denise Dipple Thomas. Like when you don't, if you have knowledge about business that you lack because you didn't attend business school, there are books out there you can learn about sales. You can
To
learn about
Sell is Human
marketing.
is the best book.
Yes.
Like I don't know if you've read that. To Sell is Human. It is one of the most fantastic sales books you will ever read, and it talks about how, like getting away from the feeling of like a lot of people feel like sales is like sleazy.
Icky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like it's icky. And he always the author like draws a comparison of they think people think used car salesman every time you hear the word sales, and you think of somebody who's like trying to rip you off, and how to be more human in the sales process and look for what people are want. Like
Yeah.
what makes them happy on the other side. Like, oh, this is people buy emotionally. They don't
Mhm.
buy based on like necessarily like, except photographers maybe who like what are the exact specs
We're
of this
impulsive
camera?
buyers.
Yeah, we definitely are. But I mean, it's also like they're looking at it's the specs on this camera or this is what I want. Yeah, but we will make the impulsive decision to buy stuff. I think that 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 yeah, not getting over that hump of thinking that you have to be at the top from the start.
Mhm. And well, here's the thing. I think that, and I even have to consult a lot of my own clients who are branding clients to get over certain things. They're even scared to be the face of their own company.
Mm.
They're scared to make videos and marketing material of themselves. They're scared of appearing vain. They're scared of all of these things. And I go, hold on a second. Let me retell this perspective for you. Let's say, well, let me ask you, lead with this question. Is what you have to offer, will it change lives? Is what you do going to be helpful to the person you're selling to? Have your clients' lives changed because of you? And if you can say yes, and you should see that they just light up. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have helped so many people in my career. I'm like, yes. Now, think of all of those people that you can help that have to find you first,
Right.
that have to know you're a photographer, have to know that you do this. And if you're not talking about it, if you're not on the forefront, and if you're not marketing yourself and selling yourself and talking about what you do, then they will not find you and you are not helping them. You're doing them a disservice by being afraid. And they're like, you're right. I'm like, yeah. So if your motivation's pure, you can be excellent in sales and still keep your integrity intact.
Exactly. Like you were, as long as you are taking care of your client, there's nothing dirty about selling to them. Like they need a service. That's why the people come to me like, oh, you're a sellout. You're like doing it for the money. Like, oh, I'm getting paid for a service I provide to other people that they want. This is a service that I provide. And, don't get me started on how many people are like, oh, wedding photographers are so overpriced. Um,
They're
like,
happy.
look at my books. Come look at my books. We'll talk.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that there's, is like you said, Dick, is your motivation pure in helping your client, and you're not just after the cold hard cash, then yeah, I think I mean, even I know people who charge a lot of money who are the providing something that totally aligns with their client's values, artistic vision, whatever you want to call it, these aspects of the client's needs. They are so aligned with their client's needs that, like, that is why they are charging that much, because
Mm-hmm.
they devote so much of themselves and their business to they're wonderfully creative in my experience, but they've found a way to blend those things in such a way that their clients are like, yeah, I'll pay that amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, I want to have that experience. I want to have that. I want that. And it's what you personally is unique about you. And I fell victim to that for many years, not putting myself in front of the camera to say like, hey, this is who I am and how I help you. Um, it was a disservice to my, like you said, to my clients, my potential clients, that like not being out, putting myself out there and saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, and how I can make your life easier,
Yeah.
uh, and solve
And
problems.
it's actually really confidence building. I had lost a lot of weight this year, but I didn't wait until I lost all the weight to put myself out there, which, human nature, we criticize ourselves a lot and we're scared to be
Hmm.
in front of the camera. I say, you have value right now. You have value who you are right now. And so just be you and just be authentic. And people will be drawn to that. They'll resonate with that. You're relatable, you're lovable, and let's go for it. And let's have fun doing it. My gosh, it doesn't have to be like super serious. And I love to love people. I love to love my clients. So it's a really good time.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's something I struggle with as far as like putting myself in front of the camera is, body image, being self-conscious, being like, well, I don't necessarily look my best. And then, like there was one, I did a reel at the beginning of last year that ended up getting, like, I was trying to film it and my wife got annoyed because I kept stopping and starting over again. And she was like, what's the problem? And I was like, I don't like how I look. And she just took my phone away from me and she's like, do it. I'm going to record, like, just do it, do the whole thing. And I did it and I got like 3 million views.
Wow.
And, and I was like, oh, huh. And I got some comments from people like commenting on my appearance. And I was just like, yeah, I don't care.
Eh,
I don't care. But that was a big, like, eye-opening thing for me because like I was just like, what, their opinion really doesn't matter. That's such a hurdle I think for a lot of people need to like have. Like as far as their self-image, they need to. I'm not gonna say get over it, which is
no.
because that's really a harsh term. They need to come to terms with their feelings about themselves and figure out what it is that's stopping them
Mhm.
from moving forward. And that like we talked about earlier, therapy and you know the various traumas that people go through as creatives. And yeah, unfortunately, this brings me back to like you were talking about solitary nature of how your beginning was. I think that in general photography can be very solitary.
Mhm.
and we spend a lot of time alone retouching or whatever it is, and it can be very hard for people to get past those, because it's all, you're when you're left alone in your head for a long time, you can build up barriers faster and stronger than the outside world will
Yeah.
do.
I think that's what's interesting about conferences is why I think why most photographers go back to conferences is for that community. It's just to be in the same room with the people that deal with the same heartaches and difficulties that you do, because they're always the same, you know, valuing ourselves, difficult clients, unrealistic expectations. And when you get to be together, you go to WPBI imaging, these places, you meet other people who are like, oh, you're like me, I found my tribe. And then you don't feel so alone anymore. It's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's finding those people, like the community, like I said, like finding your community.
Mhm.
And it can be, there can be a group of people you find, like it could be a hashtag on social media, you finding people who are like-minded and supportive, and going and finding them at a conference, and or wherever, and you know doing a meetup in somewhere, and depending on where you are in the country or the world, like finding a place to come together, and support one another, and realize that you are connected in some way.
Yeah.
What advice, okay, would you give to photographers who struggle with the idea of marketing themselves?
Mhm. Well, don't get caught up in the comparison game.
Mm.
Don't try to be someone else. You know, like, let's say for example, I have looked up to Sue Bryce for so long because she was the first educator that I invested in myself, and she taught me so much about camera settings, natural light, all of the things, and I just admired her so much and was inspired. She had a dance background, I have a dance background, so many connecting the dots, but I'm not her at the end of the day, you know? And even though I love her work, and there are certain styles that I shoot that fall into similar vibes, I'm still myself. So you could be, and I'm not Peter Hurley. I spent, oh, I love the headshot crew. I am a crew member, and I will probably always will be because it's such a great community to be a part of. So, but Peter, when you see him shoot, he can say things to people that was, I could never do it. I could never talk to someone the way he does, but he's from New York and he's a sailor and he's got his own personality. So my point is, know who you are and own it 100 times more. Like, just be you, love you, value you, and then don't be afraid to show who you are. So when you want to market yourself, you need to, number one, start with that attitude that you like who you are. I love red. It's my favorite color. So I'm very bold. I love fashion. When I go to a networking event, I implement certain strategies on purpose. I want to be seen when I walk into that room. I don't want to be a wallflower, because this is the time that I get to connect with actual real human beings face to face who are business people, and they're there knowing they're going to be sold to.
Right.
Otherwise, they wouldn't show up, and they're going to sell to you. So we have this unwritten agreement. We're going to be talking about business, and it's fine. And so I will wear something really great that's brand for me. I have this amazing purse that looks like a camera.
Mm.
I might strap that on. It starts a conversation,
Yeah.
and there you go. And then you definitely don't want to make it all about you. Sure, they noticed me just so that I can start talking to someone, but then immediately, as fast as possible, I want to know about them. Tell me about your business. Tell me what you have to offer. And then I know how I can serve them.
Well, I think that is something that applies to both networking and sales to clients. Too many people just throw information at potential clients and just expect that to land, whatever, instead of asking questions and listening to what the client tells you, or what this person who wants to hire, they contacted you because they want to hire you. So listen to them. One of the only questions I only ask, like usually 3 questions to start any like exploratory meeting with a potential client. Um, and the first one is, so why'd you choose me?
Mm.
Get them in the mindset of like why they like were excited, like get them excited again about why they contacted you. Like
Mhm.
have the like build that like excitement up, and then listen to what they're saying and like come back with questions about the things that they've said to you. Don't go in there with this script. Why I say I only have like 3 questions is because like I don't like script out like a bunch of things that I'm going to ask, like, who's doing this part of your wedding or whatever the thing is. Like, I want to hear what you're saying. And then if I've got a question about what you're saying, then I'm, like, because I'm showing you that I care. I'm showing you that I
Mhm.
care about what you have to say.
Yeah, I love asking people once they tell me what they're doing, um, especially if it's a unique career. I say, "Hey, what drew you to do this? What's your story? I want to know. I don't want to just know what you do. I want to know why you're doing it. Why did you get involved in this industry?" And they're like, "Wow, no one's ever asked me that before." And
Hmm.
then they get to share more about their personal life. And then I find out that they have a dog that they love. And then I find out that they have this, other thing coming up. I'm like, now I know that I could do pet photography for them. I know that they love golf. And so, hey, why not get that going? I've just found out that they've just went through a divorce and maybe they're looking to get new photos for their, dating app. The more you know about them, the more you can serve them.
Right.
And I don't like, I don't know why it is not a standard practice for photographers who are involved in portraiture to get to know their clients on a deep level. Because if I'm going to represent you through imagery, but I don't know you, how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
It's not be as effective. It's such a high risk.
It's the same with weddings. It's the reason I have questionnaires that I send to clients once they book me. I mean, I ask certain things like during like I said, during meetings, whatever. But like once they've booked, I'm like, I want to get to know you way better. I want to get to know you. Like, I didn't want to know what your favorite movies are. I want to know what the favorite restaurant you ever went to. I want to know, like, because that tells me a lot about you. It
Mm-hmm.
tells me a lot about like what you value, what was your like when it comes to like wedding clients. One of the questions that they ask is like, what was your favorite date? I want to know how they met, like how that started. But then I also want to know what was your favorite date or trip that you went on together, like, and why? What was it about that really meant something? Like, oh, it's the night that we went to someplace where but the power went out, so we had to like walk home and we got a pizza, like whatever, like because it was just like we had to like roll with the bunches, whatever. You're learning about these people and their lives and how you can better serve them. And for me, and this comes in with like when it comes to like portraits, both like engagement portraits, portraits on the wedding day, portraits when I just do like uh anniversaries and things like that, or just like people. I get like to get to know them because I'm more of a prompter than a pose person. I want to like say things that get natural reactions so that we have these very natural looking portraits, because it's like showing your personality and your relationship to one another and like how you interact with each other. And I can't tell you how many times I've just fallen back on quoting a line from their favorite movie that
Yeah.
just makes them laugh. Like when things get a little like, you can tell they're just starting to like, we're doing great, but then like you see like the body language changing, and like, and you just throw out a line from that movie they love, and like just like that, they're laughing and like, oh, we're back to, like that snaps people out of like whatever their self-conscious, oh, I'm having my picture taken thought was. But yeah, you need to get to know people. Like, why don't people want to get to know their clients?
Mm-hmm. And when you know that you can take a great image in like a matter of 2 minutes or less, it doesn't hurt to take a little more time to get to know your client and connect with them.
Yeah.
You're going to get an even better response. I remember there was one time I do a lot of headshots as well. And I had a woman come in. I'd never had to meet her before because it was arranged by a company. And she just looked as nervous as all get out. And I'm like, oh, girlfriend, I got you. I know this. And so I approach her and I hold up my hands and I say, may I hold your hands? I just reached through the triangle of lights and I said,
Yeah.
may I hold your hands? And she's like, sure. She was so frazzled and nervous. So she gives me her hands, places them in my hands, and I just give them a little squeeze. And I look her straight in the eye and I said, I've got you. I know this is nervous. I know that you're feeling a little bit scared. I said, but I've got you. I just need you to trust me. You're going to love this photo. And she was like, okay, I can do this. And she just, it just changed that one moment, just changed it for her. And she was able to relax, trust me, and get the shot that was, perfect. But you got to be intuitive. You got to read the room and understand what your job is.
Yeah.
Your job isn't just to take a picture. It's
Mm.
to treat your clients well and put them in a place of comfort and confidence.
Yeah. Like what you say, like building trust. It is so
Mhm.
much of a trust that they can trust you. Like whatever genre you're doing and whoever your client is. I mean, it comes down to corporate work, portraits, weddings, whatever. Your client has to trust that you can deliver what they need. And that could be for corporate stuff. It could be it's coming in on time every time, at the level of quality, whatever. Like it's not so much personal, but it is, like we got to know that we can trust you to deliver the things. And when you're getting more, like you said, getting personal and like saying like you can trust me. I used to do a lot of celebrity events. I still do occasionally, but like there was this sort of fear of you're going to take a bad picture of me and sell it to make me look bad. And it was always I had to put the energy out there and say, like, there were times I had to say out loud, I am not going to take a bad picture of you. That's not who I am. That's like, I know you've been kind of conditioned to like, and the fact that they sit there and be like, hey, just want to let you know, you were kind of making a weird face in that last one. I just let you know, I'm deleting that right now off of my camera. Like, let's do this again. We're gonna get it. Don't worry. And that's sort of just like you said, building the trust with to your subject, your clients, to know that you are not going to, mistreat them in that way of like, betraying that trust. Like, because like you said, somebody comes in and they're really nervous. Like you have to read the room. You have to like understand that your job is not just, all right, I'll sit down. I'm gonna I'm not a passport photo person and just all right, I don't care. Like the DMV, we're gonna just get this photo and get out of here. Yeah, it's you are there to help them. It's again, one of the things I tell people in the wedding industry is you're not just a photographer. You're a therapist. You're a comedian. You are, you know, I've been a tailor. I've sewn dresses back together. There's all sorts of things that you have to do. Like get that Tide stain stick out and make sure that you're not getting a stain on whatever, and various other things that have nothing to do with the camera or taking photos, but those are the things that endear you to clients,
Mm.
and they will refer you to somebody else, with fervor, when they know that they can trust you and that they want to tell other people you can trust this person.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's so much power in that. And I didn't realize just how much until this year I did a full business analysis. And this took me days and days, but I went through and I tracked where all my clients were coming from, like how are they finding me? And 35% were word of mouth referrals, and another 25% were repeat clients. Like, that's not saying that I have like no one finding me on Google, because that was like the next one, but that's like when you look at all of the shots, all of the shoots you've taken, and it's a big
Mhm.
number, and you look at that and go, whoa, this means that my clients had a really good experience with me and they're telling people and they're coming back time and again. That's winning. That is what success looks like as a photographer or as any business person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I think yeah. When people are like talking about your business in a good way and like telling other their friends, their colleagues, whoever it is, hey, you should go to this person because they made me feel really like I was really happy with what I got, and the experience was really great. I think that the experience, like for a lot of people, will, I mean, overcome even sometimes like like the I'm not gonna say you can do a bad shoot and like it's gonna make up for it, but I mean it can. I've had some of my not best shoots. Like I would not like. I'm always looking to improve, but there have been times where I felt like I wasn't necessarily at my best during that shoot, but we had so much fun, like, and they felt so comfortable. They were like, "This is great. These are fantastic," and I'm like, "Okay, like I mean, I don't know, maybe I was just putting that on myself." Like on how I felt about the images. And if the client's telling you, "Hey, I really love this," then you're like, "Okay, I'm going to believe you." Um, I don't think you would have any reason to lead me astray.
Yeah, and it's very interesting that, it's not going to be enough to be a good photographer and take pretty pictures anymore,
Right.
because AI is advancing at such a level that a lot of photography jobs are going to be replaced by AI. That is just a fact. And so, what parts of you are not replaceable by AI? And those are the ones you're going to lean into to be more of an experience based business as a photographer, because not everybody can take their own selfie and look good
Yeah.
and pull off the AI thing. And some people just, want that extra hand holding. They want that connection with another human. And they need you to tell them how to pose, and they need your help, and they love just being catered to or feeling special and
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like making them feel special, making like coming to them at a level like I said, I'm not generally am just a prompter, but I know how to pose people. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, I need help with the pose," and I'll say to them, like, "Do you need help feeling relaxed, or do you just feel that the way that you stand is uncomfortable and whatever?" Like, because I can get you into a body position that may feel more relaxed and will lend itself to a better photo, but I also want you to like be comfortable because that's also going to show up in your body in the photo. Like, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't think about that." So we do like, when people say like, "I need help with the pose," like I do, I talk to them and find out what it is exactly they need or feel that they need as far as like, I don't know where to put my hands. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know what to do with my hands half the time if I'm having my picture taken or if I'm doing a video of myself and I'm just standing around talking and I'm like, I'm gesturing a lot because I don't know, what to do with these. I don't feel comfortable just putting, a hand in my pocket or whatever. I feel, that I can relate to that feeling. So I think as we're wrapping up here, I have like one more question for you. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice when you were starting your photography business, what would it be?
I would say to not waste any time trying to shoot like someone else. I remember, like, and we touched on this a little bit before, but quite honestly, I was looking at who the photographers were that were getting booked the most. I looked at what their style was, and I could replicate it very easily with 100% confidence. And I remember thinking, well, crap, I can do just as good, but why am I not getting booked? And I was frustrated. It was getting to be literally where I was ready to quit. I remember it very vividly. I was ready to just be done. I wasn't getting bookings and I had failed, right? As a photographer. And then I thought, you know what? Well, since I'm not getting bookings anyway, and I already have this beautiful space to shoot in, screw it. I'm going to shoot the way I want to. And so I put out a model call, said I'm looking for this type of person, and people were throwing all of these, people's names out there and applying. And I picked one. I said, yes, this is the person I want. They have this great look. It's exactly what I want to do. Bring them in, shoot the way I wanted to, put the photo out there. And all of a sudden, everyone wanted to know who shot this, who is this photographer? Because I did it my way. I did it true to my instincts. I did it true to my artist's heart and style. And from that point on, that was it. I said, okay, I'm not going to ever do that again. I'm never going to try to just be somebody I'm not. Because the right people will be attracted to you and your work. They will love what you make. You are a creator, you are an artist, and you are meant to listen to your genius, lean into it, nurture it, grow it, and don't look back. Don't second guess, just go for it. Don't let fear stop you from being great.
That's fantastic advice. I can't. I think that is a great place to wrap up. I mean, seriously, Erica, that's really good. So it's time for our useless information for this episode.
I'm a movie quoter too, by the way.
I don't know. Well, I don't. Did you see my shirt?
I did see it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But my family, we grew up. We had this game. We would only quote Disney movies. You know, and I was one. But we could have whole conversations just on quotes.
My family used to call me Rerun. Because they would, if I would completely reenact the entire TV show or movie that we had watched, and or like if they weren't around, and they're like, oh well, we'll just have Casey reenact it for us. Don't worry.
I only passed it on. I think my middle son Matthew is the one that has that same level of skill as I do.
Yeah, I mean, my wife will I'll quote something, and she doesn't react, and she just looks at me and she's like, was that from something? Like I don't have this. And there's among our friend group, we have like our group text chain.
Yeah.
And I'm usually known for like throwing a GIF in there that is just like a line from a movie or something, and everyone is like, you have a gift for this. Like it's just like knowing the perfect line to go with things. I'm like, well, it's just because I just have, again, this vast knowledge of things I pick up. And it was the same thing in my family. Like we're quoting Monty Python all the time. Like whatever the movie was. Like my brother and I could do the entirety of Monty Python movies back and forth.
Did you find you have a strong auditory sense?
Yes.
Yes, that's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember everything that I hear. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I have people refer to it as a video, I refer to it as a videographic memory. Like I can, instead of like a photographic memory, because I can hear what's going on at the same time. Like, and it's just like I play it back in my head. That's how I used to do it in college. Was I would listen to I would write things down. As an actor, I would always write out my lines and say them at the same time. So I'm doing this over and over again, and it's like rehearsal. It's like rehearsing. You just like, it's a muscle memory, so that oh, I remember that line because this is what comes. Like I've just done this, 10, 15 times.
It'd be genius. Because I wish they'd have this for photographers. I wish you could just record the things to say in certain situations, and then you could actually listen to it or see it, and then you could reference that and replay it when you're in that situation. That would be brilliant.
Do you mean like what you said to the client at that time, and then go?
I've had many mentors, send PDFs that were scripts, and I hate them, because they're not amazing, but because they're written. I want to hear it and see it, and then I'll be better. I'll retain it better.
Interesting. Right? I mean, because I do sell prompts to people. I'm just curious. Like maybe they should be an audio component to it, so that people can hear it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
People learn different ways.
It's the. And here's the thing that I'm not going to include this in the recording. Okay. We'll get to the thing, but one of the things about learning about your clients, that determines the prompts that I use. I know what their favorite movie is. Okay. Well, that's a little racier. I can go with something that's like this prompt that's a little, just like a tiny bit risky. Whatever. They like this movie. They get the humor of this. Whatever, this can work. Whereas I'm not going to use it in front of somebody who's I know is very straight laced. I can't go here. I got to go on this level.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things, and learning about your client and just knowing. And that's one of the things I tell people when they're talking about, like when I talk about prompting, like you have to get to know the people first. You have to
Mhm.
know who they are before you can like just come in there and like you. So many people who like carry a list of prompts
Oh
or
dear.
posing cards or like this is like you can't do that. You can't like oh
How
I've
does
got
that
this.
work?
There's a group called Promptography that had like where like they were just like oh we're using prompts to like help people and be like oh I took a like I've got like a note card attached to the back of my camera that I can just look at for things. I'm like no, because then it just sounds like a script.
It's just not authentic. Now, I believe in studying them. I believe in having the knowledge in your back pocket, but letting it happen organically. Things will come to your mind as in the right moment, I think. If you put the study, you have to put the study in and you have to put the practice in. But cheating, is not going to feel genuine for sure. Like just having it right there.
Yeah, I think that like one of the things that I do is like if I've got a couple I'm doing like engagement portraits for, I will like okay here are three prompts that I think would work for them, and I
Mhm.
just like learn those three, and I'm like I know I'm going to have these in my mental
Yeah.
back pocket should I need them, but I also know oh, these are the movies they like. This is the music they like. This is like the whatever. Like this was their favorite date. We're gonna like
Right.
do. Those are all things that can come into when I'm like, hey, let's go back to that moment in time on your first date, or this favorite date that you had, or this trip, or whatever the thing that you talked about, so that like let's get that thought in your
Right.
head.
And you bring snacks, like like I would bring you like a string of movie type different types of movie popcorn. And you'd be like, "What?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes, because we love movies." And those kinds of things, those attentions to detail on a personal level just go so far that even if you were to make a mistake, which we're human, we do, they're more forgiving because they know that you've cared that much, that they know.
hey, photographers, are you tired of using the same stale poses with your clients, resulting in stiff and unnatural photos? Consider using Let's Be Real prompts instead. Prompts are not just a list of poses, they're designed to help you create a more engaging, fun environment for your photo subjects, resulting in more natural and authentic images. With Nerdy Photographers Let's Be Real prompts, you'll have a unique set of prompts for couples, weddings, families, and individuals, ensuring that you never run out of ideas. Prompts are particularly helpful for clients who are nervous or self conscious about having their picture taken. By giving them something else to focus on, they can become more relaxed and their reactions will be more authentic and less guarded. Using Let's Be Real prompts will not only help you create more fresh and dynamic images, but it will also increase your confidence and your client's confidence in you. You'll be able to handle difficult situations and subjects with ease, resulting in more satisfied clients and a stronger photography business. So start using Let's Be Real prompts from the Nerdy Photographer today and elevate your photography to the next level. Go to nerdyphotographer.com and go to our store, or click the link in the episode notes and get started creating authentic, engaging images today. Are you ready to take your website design to the next level? Look no further than Elementor, the cutting edge WordPress website builder designed for professionals like you. With Elementor, you have the power to create entire website themes and layouts that are as unique as your imagination. Say goodbye to rigid templates and constraints. Elementor empowers you to design custom headers, footers, pages, posts, archive pages, and even WooCommerce product pages, all from a single user friendly platform. The best part? You don't need to be a coding wizard to use Elementor. Say farewell to the days of wrestling with complex code or being dependent on a myriad of plugins. Elementor offers you a seamless, code-free design experience that puts you in control. So why limit your creativity? Choose Elementor and unleash your website design potential. Elevate your online presence with a website that truly represents your vision and brand. Get started with Elementor today. Just go to nerdyphotographer.com/recommends/Elementor and witness the transformation of your WordPress web design experience. It's time to build an extraordinary website with ease and finesse. Don't wait. Create with Elementor.
Hey, hey, hey! And now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Useless information. Ugh, this is always death.
Erica, did you know that when the Nintendo company was founded, the Ottoman Empire was still a major power in Europe?
No, I did not.
Nintendo was founded in 1889.
What?
Yeah, it only would eventually become a video game company, but it's not a video game company originally. But
Was it a board game?
I had no idea. But like Nintendo was founded in the 1800s, which is like
1800s.
shocking. Most people will probably think it was like the 70s
Oh my
or
gosh,
80s, maybe.
80s maybe. Like, wow, that's impressive. Now I want to know what they made.
Yeah. Also, I was like watching that. I don't know if you've seen the movie, the Taron Egerton, where he's like trying to get the copyright to Tetris and going to Russia because he works for Nintendo.
That sounds really familiar, though.
Yeah, I think it just came out a year or 2 years ago. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's interesting because of all of the like he was going to Soviet Russia and like the whole like getting in and out. Very difficult process. Erica, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you and see your work, follow along with you in your journey? I
would love for people to continue to follow with me and even reach out to me. I'm kind of an open book. So you can see my work at www.arica, which is spelled ARICA, Lipp, LIPP.com. And also you can search me on Instagram under The Dancing Photographer, and you'll see me pop up. I'm going to include those links in the episode notes if people just want to go there. Again, Arica, thanks for coming on. You're welcome back anytime. Oh, thank you. I would love to come anytime. Welcome back. Many thanks to Arica Lipp for being on the show. It was a great talk. You can find Arica's links in the episode notes. Get to following, people. I'll just wait here in the meantime. While you're clicking those follow buttons, be sure to subscribe to the show and follow along with the Nerdy Photographer on the social medias at The Nerdy Photo. That's at The Nerdy Photo. No underscores, dots, or dashes on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok, and Reddit. You don't want to miss out on the discussions and the fun stuff that goes on between the episodes.
Energy levels have stabilized.
Thank you very little. Until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.
You better listen.